Today our group is going to talk about chapter 4. I am Miley. I will do the introduction and conclusion. Kelly is going to talk about the collapse of Rome, and another Kelly from China is going to introduce the collapse of Maya. Lastly, Victor will present the survival of China and Egypt. Esther Bay, the lovely but sinister temptress, always attracts the hunters to chase for her, but the hunters end up completely lost. She is like the symbol of progress. Sex, food, wealth, power, prestige. They lure us onwards, make us progress, but at the same time they bring many troubles to us. Chapter 4 will introduce the most two famous cases of internal collapse, Rome and Maya. Both of the two civilizations are constructed in pyramid schemes, which are based on the natural resources, but the pyramid is unstable. When the people at the bottom have nothing to eat and quit working, it will collapse. And lastly, we will briefly talk about the survival of two hardy perennials, Egypt and China.
Alright, so the Roman Empire collapse is going to be the typical symbol and also the example of which is indicated from Roman laws in the book, especially in chapter 4. So become the most powerful empire in 500 BC. The Roman Empire is the typical earliest civilization in an ancient time. Started from a very small country and developed such a powerful and strong empire and become the center of attention and also civilization in the contemporary world. However, historians have blamed the collapse on hundreds of different factors, ranging from military failures, crippling taxation, natural disaster that caused the collapse of the Roman Empire. And the very first corruption that we're going to see is that the political system, the rise of a government type called the oligarchy, that basically made a country that is run by the small group of people, and the small group of people is on the top of the pyramid, often gain more power and wealth, while the people in the bottom suffer from poverty. Furthermore, Rome has also faced the financial crisis and inflation, constant wars and overspending has significantly lightened imperial coffers, and oppressive taxations and inflections have widened the gap between rich and poor. The second one we're going to look at is, the third one is that about the huge populations. So due to the huge population, that's why Roman government decided to contest land to expand the territory, and the land became the precious reward for any soldier. Before that, lands used to belong to farmers, and farmers used to crop and doing farm on that. So this is called that the farmers go bankrupt because there's no more land for them, and this is going to start to put all their children into the army to get more land. So that's why it's called the land boom, and also it's called the collapsing. Also, the destructions of natural capital, that natural start to foreclose, erosions, flood failure, famine, and disease that can break the social contract down, and it's also called the collapse. Turning to the era of Augustus, even though he had a really nice and good policies to help the countries preventing out from collapsing, but it's also too late. So the situation that of overpopulations, that because Rome was already the biggest city in the world, and citizens from the regions continue to move to the capital. Also the depletions of natural capital and the destroying of the nature also caused the collapsing. The great expansions were revived with greater profits for elite, and also the disease, the difficulty of getting supplies into Rome, and removing waste out because of Rome has become overpopulated, dirty, and also it is easier to disease spread. Also, similar to the Caesar era, infections also happened. And after Rome was collapsing, the God civilization came in, and it's the beginning of the Dark Ages in Europe.
Hi, this is Kelly. I'm going to talk about the reasons of the classic Maya collapse. The classic Maya lived in a constellation of rival city-states, and their peak population was about 5 to 7 million. But why the classic Maya collapsed? Maya town was same as the small societies, had been communitarian at first, but they had been divided into two parts which are the rich and the poor. A familiar social pyramid rose up with the pyramid of stone. Certainly, nature had to carry it. As the city grew, the jungle died by the stone axe. Cornfields spread and trees reduced. With a corresponding decline in this situation, the sources of protein became less and less. That means meat for eating was not enough to Mayan. By the middle of the classic period, only the upper class, which account for 40% of the Mayan, can be eating much meat in the larger states, and they getting taller and heavier, while the rest of them, the peasants, were stunted and more of them died. As the development of the society, residents built more buildings on the farmland. Although it didn't have much problems at the beginning, but in a long time, water and soil erosion became serious gradually. In addition, the forest was cut, the fields worn out, the population too high, and most of the Mayan were weak. Therefore, the problem of Maya perish was generated. However, the kings didn't do anything to solve the problems. They continued to do what they had always done and even more, so that they were vulnerable to any downturn in natural systems. Only a small disaster could make Maya collapse. In modern terms, the Maya elite became extremists or ultra-conservatives, squeezing the last drops of profit from nature and humanity.
So it's my turn to explain why did Egypt and China not collapse. For Egypt, the first reason is the perfect location. As Herodotus wrote, Egypt was a gift of Nile. As the mother river of Egypt, her fields watered, her soil refreshed each year by a layer of wind-borne fields, and that's why Egypt was easily replenished. Also, even though 6 million people was a carrying cheap city of the Nile farmland, it did bring a lot of bad consequences like hunger or waterborne disease. But topped up each year by the Nile, Egypt escaped from the collapse. And the second reason, Egypt's farming method was simple. Unlike Maya, ancient Egyptians generally know better than to build on the farmland. And also the last one, the low population growth. According to the record, Egypt taking 3,000 years to raise their population from under 2 million to 6 million, and it reduced the burden on farmland. Similarly, for China, they also got the perfect location. Favorable winds created fertile topsoil, and this land was almost endless forgiven. It brings new layers of good soil every year. Secondly, the high efficient agrarian system was one, the rest petty farming. It increased food production and realized food insufficiency in China. However, if we consider these two countries more carefully, they are actually not as stable as we think. Around 2000 BC, an outbreak of disease was found around Nile River, and in China, hunger peasants rebelled against the perceived elites. Luckily, the general environment of Egypt and China let them escape from the collapse. As is said by Ronald Wright in the book, The Lesson I Read in the Past 6 Days, that are the health of land and water, and of woods, which are the keepers of water, can be the only lasting basis for the civilization's survival and success. We cannot always count on taking things from human nature and ecology. We should make some actions to keep the sustainability of ecology and stop squeezing money from the people at the bottom. This is the most important mission in front of us. Without sustainability, there is no civilization.